Margaret Thatcher was famous quote of saying, "The problem with socialism is that you eventually run out of other people's money." Mr. McHenry, are we starting to run out of other people's money?
Yes. Yes.
Did you catch that? Finally, someone in that room said what everyone else has been dancing around. That was Chip Roy, and he came in with zero hesitation, bringing serious heat. And then he does something even more interesting. He quotes Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady herself, reminding everyone of a hard truth. Socialism always runs out of other people's money. But here's where it gets telling. Instead of engaging with the argument, the establishment, especially Maxine Waters, reacts like this is some kind of personal attack. Why is it so difficult to simply call out the failures of socialism? Why does a basic statement of American values spark that kind of reaction? It really makes you stop and question what's actually driving the pushback. Because if they can't even agree that socialism has a long track record of failure, what exactly are they defending? Stay with me, because the rest of this exchange only gets more revealing, and I'll break down why Chip Roy might be the only one in that room cutting through the noise while everyone else keeps pushing policies that could drive things off a cliff.
Thank the gentleman. I thank the witnesses for their time. Mr. McHenry, we recite the Pledge of Allegiance on the floor of the House. We have a prayer, right, to open the proceedings. Now, some say those things are not necessary or useful. I find it useful that we stand as a body and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Here, we're just trying to make a statement about what our values are, what we stand for. I believe you and I are about the same age. You might be a little younger, by a few years, if I remember right. And so, but you, like me, are a child of the 80s. Margaret Thatcher, Ronald Reagan spoke with force, clarity, moral clarity about what this country stands for and about standing up against the evils of not just totalitarian and authoritarian regimes, but against this notion that you can have some soft form of socialism that doesn't slide down the hill and slide off the cliff into the very problems that we're talking about. Margaret Thatcher was famous quote of saying, "The problem with socialism is that you eventually run out of other people's money." Mr. McHenry, are we starting to run out of other people's money?
Yes. Yes. And I think the best thing that has come out of our House Republican agenda is a focus on the fiscal house in a more concerted way, in a way that we have not done for quite a while in this Congress. At a time where the main purchasers of our federal debt is our central bank. That shows that there's a problem. When we have a discussion that in the Treasuries market there is a lack of liquidity, well, the Treasuries market is globally the biggest market of assets in the world, and what we're doing is flooding the world with such a level of debt that it's becoming difficult for it to be soaked up. We see the problem of inflation. When we're printing more money and the federal government's spending more money at the same time as the economy is collapsing. And then the work to spend more money in the time where the economy is fully reopened has caused a massive amount of inflation like we've not seen in 40 years. Those things put the imperative upon us to get our fiscal house in order so that the people can have prosperity. And that connection between our fiscal house, what we do here in Washington, to tax and spend, and the impact that has on real people's lives, we've got to connect that back and make sure that it's there. And so I think we're at an inflection point where the fiscal house will be the dominant conversation for the next 20 years, if we can get it right. And if we don't get it right, we're going to be talking about this for much longer and make ourselves much more in the pack against our economic competitors globally. So I think all that stuff is fundamental to our economic system and a really important discussion.
And I appreciate that. And it is why I, like my friend from Kentucky said, support the resolution. I'm somewhat curious as to why it's being so just easily dismissed as an important statement of principle. for this body. It's something to start off this Congress in full recognition of. I think, with respect to this debate about capitalism, including it or not, that'd be fine. You can include it, but it's a pretty straightforward concept to say we're denouncing socialism in all its forms.
If that didn't wake you up, I don't know what will. Chip Roy is talking about something simple, moral clarity, and he's not wrong. We start with the pledge. We talk about faith, values, principles. So why does it suddenly become controversial to call out socialism for what it is? But here's the part people aren't paying enough attention to. It's not just ideology, it's the math. When Patrick McHenry steps in, he's not debating feelings, he's laying out a warning. We're at a breaking point. Debt is piling up, spending is out of control, and the system is being propped up in ways that should make people very uncomfortable. And yet, somehow, people like Maxine Waters sit there and act like pointing this out is extreme. That's the upside-down part. Because this isn't complicated. You can't spend your way into prosperity. History has already run that experiment. It failed in the Soviet Union. It's failing in Venezuela. And people are starting to feel the pressure everywhere else, too. Just look at everyday costs. That slow squeeze, that's what soft socialism looks like. Gradual, subtle, but very real. And watch the room closely. You can feel the tension. Instead of addressing the issue, the conversation gets redirected. Buzzwords, distractions, anything to avoid the core question. Because admitting the problem means owning the consequences. Roy isn't just throwing punches, he's sounding an alarm, a warning before things go too far to fix. And whether you agree or not, one thing is clear, he's not afraid to say it out loud. So what do you think? Is he calling it exactly how it is? Or are we already further down that road than people want to admit?